Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jeff. So today I'm going to make a video to answer some questions and also talk about some quick facts. Let's go ahead and start with the quick facts, because at the end of the video I'll answer these questions from Mary Murphy and Joe Schmo. So if you're Mary Murphy or Joe Schmo, go ahead and stick around to the end. If you want to hear what Mary and Joe asked, they're both good questions. Mary asked about her husband who's in the military, and Joe asked about farming. And yeah, I've got some information for them on that in the capacity that I know. So the first thing that I wanted to say was, did you know that Hawaii is the most expensive state in the nation? Bet you guys didn't want to hear that, did you? Well, yeah, I've seen it on a couple places, and I'm deciding to spill the beans. I know I've been really optimistic with you guys on this, but the truth is Hawaii is 130% more expensive for housing on national average. Transportation costs 34% higher nationally. Grocery costs 55% more expensive. That is where they get you. The grocery costs, ooh, that's where they get you. I mean, I'm not saying they're trying to get you there. That's where you get hit. Because, they got to ship the food here, but it's not even that high quality either. So, I mean, that's the number one grievance I hear from new people, is the food quality, the lack of food quality, the lack of quality food. It's an issue. Like Rhode Island or wherever you're at, California, you're gonna have, the food, the abundance of quality food is gonna stand out to you. You're gonna say, I love the food, right? In Hawaii, there's not very many people who say, oh, I love the food. Now, granted, if you're hunting axis deer on Molokai or Lanai or something, you're gonna love the food because it's rich game. It's awesome meat. If you haven't had axis deer or wild deer, oh wow, check that out. That's some quality meat. I mean, it's unlike any meat you get in any grocery store, and that's coming straight off the island. The next thing is catching fish. For some of you, you would argue that it's radioactive fish. But any fishermen you talk to out here in Hawaii, they ain't talking about radioactive Fukushima Daiichi. That's mostly reserved to the scientists and the people who claim to know what they're talking about. But as far as the the people here in Hawaii, the locals, no, they're not gonna talk about that. That's not something that they're talking about on the boats. It's not something they're talking about on the shoreline. They could be in denial about it, but we haven't had any fish just wash ashore. I mean, occasionally a whale washes ashore, but so eating fish out of the ocean still seems like a pretty safe option. Now, I don't know how radioactive it is, but anyways. So yeah, it's really expensive here. That's a quick fact. Let's go ahead and give you some more quick facts without going too much into the negatives. Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. He's the first United States president born outside of the continental United States. There's actually two official languages here in Hawaii. There is Hawaiian and English, although Pidgin, Samoan, and Tongan are also spoken. If you don't know what Pidgin is like a, how's it, bruh? It's like a dialect that's abbreviated. It's kind of like a Portuguese, Russian, Islander slang. It's like an English slang kind of. I guess you could say kind of like Creole. Hawaii's nickname is the Aloha State. The word Hawaii is derived from the Proto-Polynesian alofa, and its meanings include love, compassion, and mercy. Aloha is used as hello and goodbye. Hawaii became the first state in the Union to legalize abortion on demand in 1970, 3 years before Roe v. Wade. These are just, interesting things. There's only two mammals actually native to Hawaii. You have feral pigs, you have axis deer, like I mentioned, and you have other varmints. You might see little squirrels or whatever. But there's only two that are native to here: the hoary bat and the monk seal, Hawaiian monk seal, both of which I believe are endangered. Don't quote me on that. Prior to 1872, they didn't have any mosquitoes here. So mosquitoes are a new thing. to Hawaii as of 1872. They are not originally supposed to be here. They were brought on ships, bringing with them diseases such as malaria and plague. Hawaii is the youngest state entering the nation of the United States on August 21st, 1859. Historically, Hawaiians gave leis to their local ali'i or chief as a sign-off or an affection. Warring chiefs who wanted to make peace sat down to weave leis together. So it's a peace offering and a sign of affection. The hula was originally a form of worship performed by highly trained men who were supposedly taught to dance by Hawaiian god Luka. Alright. Ancient Hawaiians believed that the heavier a woman, especially a chiefess, the more beautiful she was. This is common in other cultures too, because they say that being heavy or big is a sign of being well fed. There are just over 7,000 inhabitants on the island of Molokai, probably most famous for its past of leper colony. Oahu draws more visitors per year than any other island in Hawaii. So that means, no, the Big Island does not get more people, or does not have more people. Some people thought that. No, you don't need a passport to come here. Everyone in Hawaii, everyone is a minority in Hawaii, basically. So it's to call someone a native or a Hawaiian more often than not is not an accurate term. There are no racial majorities. Haoles, or Caucasians, constitute about 33%. By the way, people ask, is haole? Well, first of all, there's two ways to look at that word, haole. So, yes, haole means without breath. That's, the first thing you'll learn when you want to know what a haole is. It means without breath, but because the breath of life, But the thing is, when the locals are talking about a haole, they're not thinking of you saying that you're lacking breath. Okay. So to anyone who comes onto the channel or anyone, I've had conversations with locals left and right about this. A haole is a term that's tossed around. They'll say, "Oh, the haole guy." They don't even necessarily mean it like that. Okay, like a local will be talking about someone, and then sometimes I've even seen white Caucasian people calling people haoles. Haoles are people who come from elsewhere. Despite what other people will tell you, that's how loosely the term is used. So. But yeah, at the end of the day, it can be an ethnic slur if you choose to concern yourself with things like that. Some people are super offended by words, even if they have especially if they have a derogatory undertone. So if you get caught up in that kind of stuff. So 33% are Caucasian or haole. Of the population, Japanese about 33%, Filipino Americans about 16%, Chinese Americans about 5%. Most of the population has mixed ethnicities. Although this stat doesn't mention Micronesians and some of the people who do have enough blood, over 25% Hawaiian, to be considered Hawaiian. But to find a 100% Hawaiian person is very rare in Hawaii. People who claim to be Hawaiian, they are the closest to the descendant of a Hawaiian. Meaning they have more blood. They could, I don't know the exact number, and there might be a select few, possibly in places like Molokai or over on the Big Island, who are 100% Hawaiian, but it's widely known that most of the people here are either mixed with Hawaiian or basically a haole themselves. So that's why the term local is used. A local, if you go to like a place like Iao Valley right now, it's closed. It says on the sign, it says this is only open to locals. If you're not a local, turn away or we'll call the police. What they mean by that is if you live on the island and you're a resident of the island, then you can proceed. If you're not, then you're not considered a local, is the way they would perceive that. But some would think that they're talking about Hawaiian. but that's the thing about Hawaiian or Hawaiian people. The Hawaiian people, as long as they have 25% or more, I believe it is, on the blood quantum DNA test, then they are considered to be qualified for what is it? Homeland. Obviously, the higher that number is, if you meet someone who's 50% Hawaiian, that means they're, someone in their family was, or both sides had, 50% each. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit has to do with. I think it has to do with the racial supremacy idea of a racial supremacy a little bit, because it's like people throw that around. It's one thing to throw it around and say this is my inherited land and this is why it's my inherited land, but it's another thing to use it as a form of supremacy, right? That's racism. Not saying that the people are doing that, but that's the idea behind racism, basically, is if someone claims that because they look a certain way and their bloodline is a certain way, that they're superior to another. But you won't find that much in the Hawaiian culture, but I'm saying this because it does come up where people question it and try to understand, why does it matter if it says Hawaiian by blood or stuff like that. That's what they mean. The second rainiest place on Earth is Mount Waialele. I apologize if I misspelled that, on the island of Kauai, where the average rainfall is 450 inches per year. When Captain Cook arrived in 1778, he was greeted as the god Lono because he had arrived during a sacred festival. Initially, the Hawaiians thought Cook was on a floating island. So, here's an interesting fact. When Captain Cook initially called Hawaii the Sandwich Islands, after an English patron, the Earl of Sandwich, in 1819, King Kamehameha renamed the islands the Kingdom of Hawaii. This is why the Hawaiian sovereignty movement calls it the Kingdom of Hawaii, saying it's not actually a state. In the United States, it's actually a country of its own, kind of like the Tahitian Kingdom, the Kingdom of Tahiti, or Samoa, or so. Surfing was invented by the Polynesians who first settled in Hawaii. Their boards weighed between 150 pounds and measured up to 20 feet. So surfing comes from Hawaii. I don't know if you knew that. The first foreigner known to have died in the islands was William Watman, a member of Captain Cook's gunnery crew, who was killed by a paralytic stroke in 1779 at Honaunau. The average projected lifespan of those born in Hawaii in the year 2000 is 79 years old. 77 if you're male and 82 if you're female, longer than the residents of any other state. So people in Hawaii live longer than any other state. Hawaiians considered the shark god and treated it with great respect. So they considered the shark a god. So they had a great deal of respect for it. So there's just a grip load of facts here. Spam is very popular here. I think spam's like a wheat gluten kind of extract, but I don't know enough about spam to know what's exactly in it. Kilauea volcano is actually considered the most active volcano in all the world. It's 660,000 years old. It's also the most active, meaning, Halemaumau still going, and Pu'u'o'o. And, there's other volcanoes like in Bali and Costa Rica and stuff like that in Indonesia, but this one's considered the most active. The largest active volcano is Mauna Loa, meaning in just mass. And that's not active right now, but they consider it active because it could go at any time. So the largest sea cliffs in the world are in Molokai. Cliffs from the sea floor up, Molokai. Hawaii is the only U.S. state with a tropical rainforest. Hawaii outlawed billboards in 1927. Hawaii is the only state in the nation that grows coffee, vanilla beans, and cacao. All right. So anyway, um, the largest contiguous ranch in the United States is in Hawaii. The Parker Ranch near Kamuela has about 480,000 acres of land. All right, so let's go ahead and answer these questions. So Mary Murphy, hey Jeff, my husband received PCS orders to Hawaii back in May. We will arrive in January 2018. I've been watching your videos. A couple of my coworkers stated that the salt will rust out the bottom of my Mustang and I should avoid bringing it. I have several contacts, but no one has mentioned it. Something I should be concerned about? Question mark. Thanks, and I apologize if you've already covered this in your own other videos. I have a truck. Has not had any issues in 2.5 years. Could it happen? Sure. The thing with, so salt water is corrosive. It's when you get salt spray on your car. So if you're constantly crossing over an area where there's going to be salt spraying on your car, you know, that's corrosive. But if you're living inland and you're not getting any salt water on your car, maybe you could be close enough to where salt spray is spraying your car. That's corrosive. That can happen anywhere. That can happen in Virginia Beach. That could happen in San Diego. That could happen in Morro Bay. That could happen in Alaska. It's not just isolated to Hawaii. It's salt water, period. And I've seen cars that have had the tops completely rusted out, and it looked horrible because it looked like the top of their car was being eaten by something. But that's usually because someone left it out in the weather and it just rotted, and also cheap tin or cheap metals. I'm not going to say the name brand of the car, but I thought to myself, geez, what a joke that brand made that car. I'm sure most of the metal that's used is the same, and I'm sure some of the paint is the same, but it could be lower quality paint that didn't protect against oxidation. When I was in the military, I know that we always used to clean aircraft on the flight deck of the aircraft carrier because, you know, we would get, it was always, when you're out to sea, you get constant spray, and that was what it was. It was the spray from the ocean water, so we'd always have to be oiling it and cleaning it down because you didn't want an F-18, which has structural integrity, obviously, because it's flying at, you know, sometimes the sound barrier, to have to deal with rot. But that's the reasoning behind their comments. They're probably true, but they're also, I mean, they're talking about like, are you going to be driving your car through the ocean? Is what I would be asking you. I mean, are you going to be going off-roading in your Mustang? If not, I see cars all over Hawaii right now. I'm looking at them. None of them have this problem. None of them. I'm looking at cars right out my front door right now. None of them. I never see this, so I'm sure they have some reason to say that, but no, you don't have to worry about that. All right, Joe Schmo, love the videos. I've been watching your channel for a while now and love the feedback on everything. That being said, I purchased a large piece of land and a house that I'm currently renting in Mountain View about 2 years ago now. I have plans to move there and start an aquaponics farm, hopefully for the next year. Do you have any advice on what I should bring, or should I just buy there? I'm planning on bringing at least 2 cars, and I have a lot of tools as well, but household items. Okay. Get rid of everything. Unless, like, all the small things that you can replace, get rid of it. Because you can easily buy that here. Meaning, like, sell it, and then, because if you have to ship, like a shovel, for example, or a lawnmower, that's going to be so expensive to fill up a crate. I guess you could probably buy a whole big old crate and fill it, a container. I don't know how much that would cost, but I find it to be easier to try to sell as much as you can and pack light, and then take the money that you sold it for and rebuy things. You can get a lot of different things like shovels and all that stuff on Craigslist or garage sales, yard sales all over the islands. So in Mountain View, I've known people who have lived in Mountain View. They did the exact same thing you're doing, and they ended up back on the Big Island after they got rained out. Basically what I mean by that is it rains a lot in Mountain View, and for them, they weren't prepared for that. After paying to clear their land and doing all that, it's tough on the mind and on the spirit. I know that that's what they were saying. So they just couldn't handle all that rain up in Mountain View. And so aquaponics, I don't know if aquaponics is necessarily needed up in Mountain View. I don't know enough about aquaponics though. I know that that's pretty popular and a lot of people are trying to get into aquaponics. You know, so that's up to you. I can't really give too much information on that, but I appreciate the question. And I think that my best advice to you would be sell all your tools unless it's like a diamond plated saw blade or something that's like, you know, if something's over like $1,000 or something, you should probably keep that, I guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe you could sell it and replace it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'm pretty confident you can replace your tools here without having to pay for a container to ship everything. You know, it's up to you though. As far as there's like lectures and stuff that do go on in the farming community. The best way to get plugged in with that community is to go to like Maku'u Farmers Market. Go to the Kayal Farmers Market area, Hilo Farmers Market. Start talking to people who are farmers and you'll meet a ton. But they do lectures at like University of Hilo and all that. That's the best way to meet people for that. Because farmers are always attracted to other farmers. And they're usually the people that have beards and eat organic. And are very clearly, you can see them. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to ask some questions, subscribe to this channel. I am now answering more and more questions as they come in, such as I did for Mary Murphy and Joe Schmo. Cool name, Joe. Anna Shelton also says, do a video on families moving to the Big Island. Okay, so I got more videos coming, so thanks guys for watching.